welcome to Season 13, Episode 52 of LMR Live, brought to you from the University of Mississippi. We are on the main stage of the Gertrude Seed Ford Center on the Ole Miss campus. We are glad you are here. Are you glad you're here? So, what do? We take entertainment and we take education and we merge them together to do what? Edutainment. And I know they're going to be yelling at me in a minute because I am so loud. I am so awful on the sound, people, and I apologize. So today is a little bit of deja vu because 4 years ago on November 3rd, we did an LMR Live with Adam Guettel, Broadway Tony Award-winning composer. Fast forward, we're here today, November 3rd, again celebrating a Broadway expert icon, William Waldrop. I will say, I think I'm sort of doing this selfishly because it ends up being a birthday present for myself. I'm celebrating 54 today. Oh my gosh, 52 episodes, 54. That would have been really perfect if I'd organized that. Oh well. Anyways, happy birthday to me. So we are going to be bringing William, thank you. We're going to be bringing William Waldrop out here, but let me tell you about William. William Waldrop, as posted on the Greenberg Artist Management website, quote, a Broadway veteran renowned for his expressive high-energy style, Waldrop brings unparalleled musical versatility and magnetic presence to symphony stages all across the United States. William is a Broadway music director, conductor, and pianist who is currently part of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Masquerade team in New York City. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. He has served. Now just prepare yourselves. Prepare yourselves as you hear all this. And I'm going to be a little long-winded because I want us all to be on the same page. Music supervisor and music director for Cats, the Jellicoe Ball in New York City, praised by the New York Times, quote, gorgeous choral direction. Prior to that role, he was associate conductor for Broadway's longest-running musical, The Phantom of the Opera. Waldrop is equally comfortable conducting from the pit or center stage with a symphony orchestra. He has conducted the Fort Worth Symphony, Florida Orchestra, North Carolina Symphony, and I could go on and on. Waldrop's association with The Phantom of the Opera spans over 15 years. In this industry, that is remarkable. He has been involved in productions all across the globe, served as associate musical supervisor for the 2023 South Korean production, as well as the 2019 international tour. He was also musical supervisor for the 2018 Copenhagen production and held key roles in productions in Germany, Denmark, on the US national tour, and in Las Vegas. There's more. His other Broadway credits include serving as music director-conductor for the acclaimed revival of Cats at the Neil Simon Theater, and associate conductor for the production of Evita on Broadway starring Ricky Martin. He was also the music director for 30-city national tour of Evita, culminating in performances at the Kennedy Center. He has conducted or played on numerous Broadway productions, including Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, On the Town, Fiddler on the Roof, and Some Like It Hot. He is a composer. He has original music that has been featured at Birdland, the Laurie Beecham Theater, and New World stages. He is a vocal coach. He works with leading performers from Broadway and national tours and is often a master class instructor. Waldrop holds a Master of Music degree from Peabody Conservatory and a Bachelor of Music in Vocal Performance from where? From where? From the University of Mississippi. Let's welcome him. Woo! Howdy, Dottie!
Oh my gosh, howdy, Dottie. How are you? Hi, thank you.
I have to answer that question. I am over the moon because you are here. It is truly such a gift that you are willing to come, and you have shared yourself so generously with our students, our faculty, and area students. So from the bottom of my heart, I am grateful for you. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. It's a thrill. I mean, I talk about deja vu. I mean, this center opened on my senior year of college, and I was Papageno in the Magic Flute on this very stage. So it's just like amazing to be here again.
Meant to be. And this is hopefully just the start of many more
Yes.
collaborations with William Waldrop at the University of Mississippi. All right, we're going to shift into our first segment, Truth Be Told. We're going to jump into some questions just to get to know
I'm ready.
the broader optic of William Waldrop. What do we got? What's the biggest career risk you've taken?
Ooh, that's a great question. Oh my goodness. Let's see. You know, I think there was a big risk that happened around 2017 that has proven to be very worth it. And I was doing Cats on Broadway as the music director, and I had the opportunity to meet a Pops conductor, Jeff Tyzik, who's a big arranger and a wonderful conductor, you know, worked with so many people for decades. And I'd always wanted to be a Pops conductor and conduct symphony orchestras and never had the experience. And through him, I got connected with an agent. And she didn't know who I was, though, or what I did, you know. She knew that I did Broadway, but I had never conducted a symphony orchestra. And she was sort of like on the fence, like, you know, not sure if she should sign me or not. And this opportunity came up, and a conductor was fired. And they needed a replacement for the Florida Orchestra. And she said, would you like to jump in? It's 5 concerts in a row, holiday Pops. You have 2 weeks to prepare. And I said, oh, yes, yes, yes. So, you know, in my head, I was like, wow, if this fails, this is not good, you know?
Right.
So, but I did. I dove in and I did it, and it led to me having a career in symphony Pops conducting, and I'm so glad I did it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's go to the next one. What do we got? Have you ever struggled with imposter syndrome?
Oh my goodness. That's a great question too. This is great. You
Thanks
know,
to the team.
yes,
Thank you,
well
Paige.
done. You know, I feel like imposter syndrome, yeah, I've dealt with it a little bit, but I think that for my career, I feel like I'm always sort of like, you know, here's my goal. I have to do this, this, and this, and this to get there. And so I feel like once I get there, if I'm successful, yes, there's luck, there are things that come into play, but I look back and I say, wow, I really did the things to get there. But I think what ties into this for me a lot is the path that I took to do what I do is something that I often look and say, wow, I didn't get a conducting degree, so why should I be conducting a symphony, you know? Or I didn't get a piano degree, so why should I be, you know, playing piano on Broadway, you know?
Right.
And all of that sort of comes into play in your psychology, but what you have to do is look at what your skill sets are and the things that make you, you know, striking to someone, that you can do what they want you to do. And so the playing, all of that, I used all of the things that I learned as a vocal performance major and all of that to achieve where I got to. And I think it's just knowing that you might not have the same path as someone else. Everyone has a different path as an artist. And it's so important to sort of trust where you are. And, you know, if you need to add something or learn something new, do it. But when you get there, just look back and say, this is why I got here. I did the work. And
I love that so much, because I think we societally sometimes get hung up in the pedigree of sorts, as opposed to what really, not diminishing the training, but in addition to the training, how are you able to connect those dots, and what are your greatest attributes? I really love how you explained that.
Exactly.
Really
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
All right, one more truth be told. Let's see what the last one is. What do you want to be remembered
Oh
for?
my goodness.
Like decades.
Oh, boy.
Far away. Yes.
Oh, wow. I mean, maybe this is cliche, but the thing that comes to me always in my work is, and I've been grateful to have people around me who are the same way. I always want to be remembered as someone who leads with kindness, openness, and tolerance in creating music or in anything that I do. And I think I've found that has allowed me to expand my career in a very rewarding and enriching way. And so I would say that would be the main thing. I think on a more tangible level, I'd love to compose something that changes the way people see the world for the better. I would love to do something like that. And yeah.
I love that. So good. Well, thank you for doing our Truth Be
Absolutely,
Told.
I love
Appreciate it
this.
very much, William. So I want to dive in first with the production of Masquerade.
Yes.
Because when I first reached out to you about coming here, it was very secretive and hush-hush what was going on. And then just to share with everybody, in September, right before the show officially opened, a cohort of us traveled to New York City and got to experience the show. Dean Cohen, myself, Dr. Garai, and 2 students traveled with us. And I am not over-exaggerating that it was transformative and not like anything I have ever experienced before. So how did you explain to us a little bit, what is Masquerade?
Well, Masquerade is a truly one-of-a-kind theatrical experience that we created in New York City. There's a really big trend right now for immersive theater. And there was a huge production called Sleep No More in New York City that was a storytelling of Macbeth in a very unique way. It was in a 30,000 square foot building, and the audience came in, and they chose their own adventures, sort of to speak. And Andrew Lloyd Webber had always wanted to do something like that with one of his shows. And of course, it closed on Broadway in 2023, and he was very, very upset about that. And he called the producer of Sleep No More and said, hey, I want to do a pop-up version of Phantom of the Opera. And the producer said, well, why not do it permanently?
Ooh.
And Kismet, they found a building, a Jewel property on 57th Street, just down from Carnegie Hall. And they began to design a version of Phantom of the Opera where the audience enters the building and walks through the building and experiences the story of the Phantom of the Opera in the building. And the actors are as close as we are, and they're singing the score and telling the story of the Phantom in a different way, delving into more of his backstory. And it took 2 or 3 years to create, but it is now up and running.
It is, I mean, literally, the moment you walk in, you're in a group, and you are, greeted with this party. First it's the violinist,
yes.
Then the party with the champagne, and literally, as William said, you are this close. For me, so much of how we prepare artists for stage performing is very different than how you prepare one for film. And the experience, you're getting that Broadway experience, but yet you feel like you're in the film of Phantom of the Opera, because literally they're this close, or they even touch you. And what amazed me, in some of the rooms, it wasn't even mic'd.
Right, yes.
I mean, so as a music director, like, how do you manage that?
I know, it's wild. Just the technology it takes to create the show, and the miking and the singing and everything is something I have never done before, and it was thrilling to sort of learn new things to help. And as a music director, my job is to help the singers sing the score in the correct way. And when you're on a stage like this, the audience is there, orchestra in the pit, actors on stage. That's a very sort of formulaic thing.
Yes.
Sound design, speakers, we all kind of know what that is.
More controlled.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in Masquerade, every room is different. Every space is different. The way you hear the actors and the singers is different. There's one room where 20 people from the audience go in the room together, very small, just about very small. And the miking is off because it's such an intimate moment that they don't need to be mic'd, and so they're singing. And I help them to find the vocal qualities and colors that will work, for that dramatic moment, but be in a way where each audience member feels like they're getting that performance around them, surrounding
success.
them.
It's mind-boggling. So how many, for instance, how many Christines are there?
Well, there are 6 casts, basically 6 Christines and 6 Phantoms, because 6 groups of audience of 60 people go through the building in one night. So the first audience is at 7. I think you were at 8, maybe.
Yes.
There are 6 groups, and so eventually all the audiences are going through the building at once, and everything is synchronized so that you might be hearing "All I Ask of You," and the other person is hearing "Think of Me" in the beginning of the show. So, yeah.
So for you, in your role, can you talk at all about how the casting works for something like that, for a project like that?
Yeah.
I'm guessing here that it would be a lot of recommendation for that type of production that would have such high risk associated with it, but I'm just curious, what was it like?
That's a great question, because what we had to think about in the casting that was different is that not only do we have to have someone who can sing the Phantom as they would have sung it on Broadway, but because of the sort of unique nature of the building, it's very much a physical show, so the Phantoms are running up and down stairs, and they're singing on top of a roof, and they're doing all these things that are a little bit different from the show.
Right.
And also, we had to think about some of the roles repeat their track 6 times a night, so we had to think about how that would affect their vocal health and just the very taxing quality of singing the same thing over. And so we developed some of the show for some of the tracks so that they did different things for different audiences, so that mentally they had something different. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's a little secret there. And but the casting
was...
was...
Is that called an egg?
Yes.
So the Taylor Swift egg? We got an egg. Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
No, but the casting, we were recommended a lot of... what I love about our casting is it's very bold and diverse and a little bit unorthodox when you think about the typical casting of Phantom. And so we have some thrilling people in that are really unique and special for this production. And it takes a certain kind of actor to be able to do this experience because it's so different.
It's so, my word would be vulnerable.
Very vulnerable.
You cannot
It's a great word.
hide.
No.
I mean, it's incredibly vulnerable. What is the most challenging part of your job in working with the cast? And let me be clear, I'm not suggesting the cast is difficult or anything like that, but what's the most challenging part for you? Because it seems like that's a lot to manage and oversee.
Yeah, it's a huge, massive production, and I think the challenging thing is that even with myself and my assistants, it's hard to sort of, as a conductor, you see the show every night because you're conducting the show. But this show, we have pre-recorded tracks that the singers sing live to, so there isn't a conductor. Mm-hmm. It's sort of impossible for the conductor, for an orchestra to play for 6 groups.
Right.
It just wouldn't work. So I go in periodically, like 2 or 3 times a week to watch the show, and I'm in rehearsals, and so I have to maintain the show. But there are 6 casts, and so often this is an interesting thing. Sometimes I'll follow one cast all the way through, but then sometimes I'll target certain scenes and I'll watch them 6 times in a row, and so that I can see, and I tend to catch things more, and I can help and I can relate to each cast. And they're three of them are struggling here. Why is that? Let me help. Let me sort of target that and guide them there. Yeah.
I know you're brilliant at it. It just seems like this is the perfect gig for someone like you to manage that so well in so many ways. So in your bio, I said you've been part of the team for 15 years.
Yes.
I mean, it's easy to get a job, relatively. It's hard to get asked again, and to be part of something with that long of a tenure process. I mean, how do you successfully pull that off?
Well, I do consider myself very grateful for having such a long career with one composer and one project.
And I mean, Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yes, exactly.
Like, not just any composer.
Yeah, I think, I sort of think back to one of my first, we may get to this later, but my first audition for a music supervisor, and I had to come prepared to play, 7 different things in different styles. And I remember her saying after the audition, she said, you picked exactly what you should have picked as a music director to do this. Do you want to be a music director? And I said, oh, yes, actually I do. But I just think back to that, and I feel like it's just knowing the things that you need to know to do the job well. It's being a nice person is a really, really important thing,
Yeah.
But also learning how to relate to people. There's so many things and dynamics that you have to be aware of with management and creative teams and actors, especially with actors and singers, because we all have our own sort of method of learning and our own sort of ego and vulnerabilities. And I really think that those skills that I feel I gained here and in grad school and in just getting the opportunity to sort of have high risk pressure environments early in my career where I sort of had to figure it out, you know? I think that's what helped me to sort of plant my feet and succeed and keep going.
I love that. That's something that I hope we talk a lot about here within our program. I know I talk about it a lot with students individually. This is your time to take risks because it's safe.
Yes.
Fail.
Exactly. Yes,
Like,
yes.
go for it, because if you don't take those risks now, it doesn't prepare you for the next point. And I think we have such a responsibility. I say this frequently, but it's worth saying again. I think we as faculty or administrators or however sometimes get so caught up in how it makes us look, or what, we try to fast forward in the process. Let the student be in the process, take the risk and go for it.
Absolutely, that's so important.
I love it.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah.
All right, we are going to shift.
Okay.
And we always play a game at our
yes, I
LMO
love
Live.
games.
So we are going to do a little video segue into our game, and one of our team members is going to join us. Let's do it. All right, Broadway Mythbusters. Now everyone listen closely. Earlier today, we received a delivery at this theater. Letters from the Phantom were delivered. And Maya is going to read these letters. And William, you and I have to decide if they're true
Okay.
or false.
Okay,
All
got
right.
it, got it.
Maya,
Okay.
take us on this journey.
All right. The first one is, during Wicked, Glinda's bubble mechanism failed and left the actress suspended above the stage for 15 minutes.
True.
I was going to say true too. Are you going to count us off?
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know this. I'm like, true.
1, 2, 3.
That's okay.
True.
Okay. It was not true.
Oh, we're wrong,
just
William.
assumed that
We're
would've
wrong.
happened.
Okay, so
Something
that was
always
false.
happens.
Okay. Who else? I mean,
was
anyone
false.
else think that would sound feasible, right? It sounds
I
really
mean,
possible.
happened
Okay.
Sounds like something, they have the no-fly shows sometimes. So, yeah.
All right, what is the
Okay.
next
number
letter? So
2.
in Masquerade, there are letters.
Yes, in that color, it's brilliant. I love it.
Yes.
I'm gonna wait for the count this time.
Good
Okay.
work, Maya.
Number 2, James Earl Jones stopped fences mid-scene to scold a chatty audience.
Count us off, Maya.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
True.
Yes.
Yay!
Hey, okay, we redeemed ourselves, William. All right. And we're on the same wavelength. I'm
Yes,
hoping we
yes.
disagree, though, and we get really
Yeah,
like
that's always
tense with
fun.
one another. No kidding.
Okay, number 3. An entire Broadway block once lost power, forcing dozens of shows to be canceled.
Okay, count us off.
1, 2, 3.
True.
Yes.
Okay.
I was doing Cats when that happened.
Fill us in.
Yes, it was. I forget what happened, but we were about to start the show, and the whole power went off in the building,
Oh
and
my
they
gosh.
canceled the show. It was like the entire block of 42nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, all the way up to the 50s.
So when something like that happens, and I don't know if you're in the room for these conversations, but how much of the financial part is discussed and like becomes, I don't know, part of the conversation?
I wasn't really a part of that conversation, but I know it was happening because it's a
Yes.
huge loss,
Huge
canceling
loss.
the show. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right,
Number
the Phantom
4.
knew you would have that to add there, William.
Number 4.
All right. I love this red.
The cast of Hadestown performs on the sidewalk during a citywide blackout.
Count us off.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
False.
True.
All right.
Hamilton.
Interesting.
It's true. I didn't know that.
Interesting. I did not know that. All right. Last
Okay.
but not least.
Okay.
Last letter from the Phantom. I'm scared.
Phantom Maya.
Fondest greetings.
Next, we have the orchestra of The Lion King accidentally played the entire opening in the wrong key one night. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
False.
Correct.
I can't imagine that happening.
I'm like, what happened? Like,
But that's a funny one. Yeah.
all right, thank you, Maya.
Thank you, Maya.
Thank you.
Loved it.
I think we were on the same page.
Yes, we were.
I think for all of it,
Yeah.
all of it. Interesting. I love that you were able to give that context
Yes,
on,
yeah, I
on
remember
one of
that.
those there.
Totally.
All right, so we have another segment called On the Line.
Okay.
I want to incorporate some questions from our students who've had
fantastic.
opportunity to work with you. So McKenna Counts wants to know, how has your vocal training served you as a conductor?
Oh, that's a great question. I think every time I conduct, I think about my vocal training helping me, because just in singing, you know, learning about, well, breathing and phrasing, all of that as a singer applies to a conductor when you're conducting an instrumental piece, or especially an opera or a musical theater piece. But I always think about, you know, being able to help singers as a conductor in the moment as I'm conducting, you know, and being...
And not all conductors are like
right. You know, just being aware of how a singer breathes and how a singer, you know, having the experience as being a singer, knowing like where the phrase is going. Like I can understand that as a conductor. And, you know, conducting something like Phantom, for instance, is so important, because when I was conducting at the Majestic, you know, I would often have a different Phantom or a different Christine, and just, you know, being able to follow that person that maybe I hadn't conducted in a while.
Right.
You know, as a singer, I really rely on my, you know, abilities and education, you know, vocally to sort of help me in those moments.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Amelia Samples wants to know, as a coach, do you ever struggle with burnout when working on a massive project? And how do you push past that and begin to love your work again?
Great question again. Yes, I mean, burnout is such an important thing to talk about, because as a coach, I feel like when I coach, I don't burn out as much as when maybe I play sometimes. Like when I was doing Phantom, as you know, as a conductor, I also played keyboard in the pit, and you know, I loved playing that music, but it's a sort of heightened amount of pressure for almost 3 hours every night that you do 8 times a week. And so you really have to keep your mental state in check, because it can wear on you, you know.
Yeah.
And but what I always do to sort of counteract that is I do other things, you know, and during the day. And as far as like coaching, I love to coach singers on everything and anything, and I think that helps me sort of keep diversified, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, we all as musicians want to be, you know, cognizant of all the different rich opportunities we can have. And so I think just if you have something like a Broadway gig, it's just about balancing. How do I keep my skills set up while I go play with a symphony here, or I do a cabaret here and I do different music, you know, so that helps a lot.
That's cool. You know, the lifestyle of the 8 shows a week, do you have any advice on managing that or finding balance in one's life?
Yeah, well, I think it's obviously different for musicians as it is for singers, because singers really have to protect their full body and voice, and you know, often live like a monk, you know, during the day to be able to perform that show. I think musicians also have to protect themselves in a way, but they also have a little bit more freedom to do other things. So like on Broadway, we're able to sub out and take leaves, and we can have people come play for us. So I think it's just important to, you know, I always had a routine, you know, so like I would arrive at the theater at the same time every night. I always like to warm up just because I feel like it helps me sort of get centered. And I even have a center down thing I do. Even if I've done it 120 times, I still do it, because it just helps me feel like I'm giving this performance as much importance as the next. So
very cool. All right, our last question from a student is from John Harvey. What was your favorite part of being a music student at Ole Miss, and what advice do you have for music students today?
Yay, love this.
So 2 questions.
Yes, so my favorite part, I feel like my favorite part when I was here was just the community. And when I say community, I mean like the faculty and the students. I felt so safe and embraced as an artist, as a musician. And, you know, when you're here, you're very young when you're in college, and you want to feel like you can enjoy your time here, but also feel like people are helping you find the right path. Like I never felt like I couldn't do something here.
And you did a lot.
I did.
You did a lot. If it's on the list, he did it, and I will say did it well.
Well, thank you. But I think I always felt safe to sort of like say, oh, I'd love to like be in the dance company. I wouldn't do that now. But you know, like, but those things were available here, and there was no like restrictions, and I think unless time is the only restriction. So I felt like I was embraced, and I love the students that I worked with, and the teachers I worked with, and the community here. I feel it still. I feel it even more when I come back now. So I'm really so happy about that. And advice, I say, do anything and everything you can. Like as a performer, let's say you want to be a performer. It's so important to just put yourself out there, even in the smallest thing. I mean, like I played piano for Dr. Robinson's church, and that was a completely different experience of working as an accompanist, I played gigs at a restaurant, like, I mean, just put yourself under pressure.
Talk about the one recital you did. Will you share about that? The one where you did the 3, or maybe you don't want to.
Oh, that one. Oh, yes. Oh, that was my senior recital in high school, though.
Oh, that was high
yes,
school. Okay,
yes.
sorry.
But
Share about that. That was before you got here. Maybe you don't want to.
Before I got here, I did a
but
recital.
This just sums you up in the sense of you put yourself out there. I'm putting him on the spot.
So
I said I'd make him comfortable.
That's okay. I also played euphonium, and I did that through high school. I didn't do it in college.
No.
But I did do a triple recital of piano, voice, and euphonium because I had been doing all those things. And,
as a
and
high
I
school
did that
student,
in high
it's
school.
fabulous.
It was a lot of fun, but euphonium was talking to the student today. I loved, being in the band was such an important experience too. Just the way to play in an ensemble and listen in an ensemble has helped me immensely as a conductor for orchestras. But yes, my best advice is really take the opportunities that are here and also create opportunities for yourselves. If you don't think that there's something here that you really want to do, then maybe like get a few students together and put that show on somehow and get a faculty to support you and a faculty member to support you.
Great advice.
Yeah.
I did not pay him to say any of that, but I 100% align with you on how to approach things. All right, we're going to shift to another segment in our LMR Live programming called LMR 360. We're going to enjoy some things about Benton Donahue.
Hello, LMR 360. My name is Benton Donahue. I had the great pleasure of having a very musically engaged summer. To begin, I music directed a production of Hairspray the Musical with the Center Players Community Theater in Madison, Mississippi. It was an absolute blast working with such terrifically talented actors and musicians. I then traveled to Galway, Ireland to be part of the International Galway Music Festival. Upon returning to the US, I music directed 2 musical theater summer camps, one producing The Lion King and the other was Rock of Ages. Getting to work with 3rd through 11th graders really allowed me to put into practice all of the training I have been gaining for my studies at Ole Miss, and in the end was very rewarding. And now to coincide with our guest William, please enjoy this excerpt of John and Isabel performing All I Ask of You from Phantom of the Opera.
LMR 360 is about how team members, when they've been with us and then we loop back. And this, putting a spotlight on Benton was very intentional because Benton is a senior here.
Amazing,
and
congrats.
This is a great segue from what you were just talking about because from my optic, Benton, as many of our students, really has seized so many of the opportunities that are in front of him, and if they weren't there, he forged that territory. I will say this publicly, when the two of you met when we were in New York a year or so ago, I see a lot of you in Benton, and I'm really excited about this mentorship. Something that we've always done here is, and when you were here as a student, those side-by-side performances, like you with Dr. Robinson performing in an opera, or when it was, Magic Flute here. What I think we're even doing better now is then how do we connect our students with our alumni and with professionals. So again, to say thank you for being here and allowing this relationship building to occur. Benton, how is it being out there conducting things and leading things while also a student?
It's super fun, you know, because most of the opportunities I talked about in the video, like Hairspray or both of the summer camps, usually it's younger people, but Hairspray, it required a cast of older people. And so to deal with people who have experienced proper training, and then to have someone who's still receiving their undergraduate degree, you know, that's a big vulnerable moment, I think, as a student, to like give direction to someone who's had music training or may have a music degree, and then for them to embrace that. It's been super fun, you know, an opportunity unlike anything I've had so far. And then same with the kid camps. I mean, do I want to be a teacher for the rest of my life? Who knows? You know, but it's a great opportunity to like put into practice the things I've been doing here. And fun things, you know, seeing little kids play Lion King. So.
Yes. Well, we are very proud of you. Do you have any questions for William about just...
On the spot.
On the spot, yeah.
McKenna's question was so good. I mentioned this briefly whenever we were in New York, but the fact that you have 2 degrees that are strictly vocal oriented, and then here you are conducting instrumentalist, you know, I think that's awesome. Were there, I mean, the imposter syndrome question was great too.
I agree.
Has there been anything that you've had to hurdle with that? Like, has there ever been some pushback from people?
I mean, no, I mean, really, I don't know why, but you know, I think for me though, I push back on myself a lot because of that, you know, because when I got to New York, I was surrounded by people who, you know, were brilliant pianists and had piano performance degrees, you know, and wanted to play for Broadway, and I was like, oh gosh, but do I? And I would tell myself, but I have the vocal experience, and every time my mentor and colleague would say, but William, this is why you're good at what you do, you know,
right.
And you have this experience, and you are a good pianist. These things will come together in the best way, and so it doesn't matter how you get there.
Right,
I think it's just giving yourself, you know, being realistic with yourself about what skill sets are missing, and what do I need to do to get those, you know, and it doesn't mean that you have to get another degree to gain those skill sets. So, you know, even you working with the children's camps and I did things like that too. When I was in grad school, I did a middle school production of Godspell, and you know, learning to work with that age has helped me. You know, I later worked with children in Evita, and so it's all connected and it's all important. Yeah.
And I think also the fact that everything you approach, whether you're performing for 2 or you're performing for 2,000, whether you're working with elementary school or you're working at, you know, the Met, you put your best self forward and you give it your all. Yeah. Any advice for, and let me be clear, we all have our own paths and we all have our own trajectories. It's never about copying what anyone does, but I hope, and this is why we do this, is to give examples of ways to go about things. So just curious, William, is there any advice you give it specifically to Benton or more general?
Well, I mean, specifically, what is your degree in?
Vocal music education.
Vocal music education, and you love music directing, I think,
so
too.
fun.
Yeah, and you're a pianist and you're a singer. Yeah, so I think you already have sort of the tools to, if you wanted to pursue music directing in theater, or even, you know, if you want to do conducting, that's something you can go. I think just keep doing all these things you're doing and putting yourself out there and getting the experience. And, you know, a lot of things are about what's on your resume when you get into the theater business. And so if I, as a music supervisor, can see, oh, you did these kinds of style shows, and you can do that kind of music, and you did it at this level, then I have a sort of a photo capture of what you've done. So that's important too. But I say just keep going forward. You're really talented, so it's
thanks. Yes, let's give it up for Benton.
Yeah.
Thank you, Benton, for being our 360. So one question I haven't gotten to, and I want to, and you talked about this when we recently had dinner in September. Can you share about that transition from masters to professional world?
Yes.
What was that moment like for you?
That was very interesting because when I went to Peabody, I was in vocal performance because I had gotten my degree here. I wanted to get my master's. I wanted to continue music. That was what I'd been doing, so that's what I felt like I should keep doing. And I got to Peabody, and I really enjoyed it for the first year. I performed in 3 of the productions, Johnny Skiki and a new opera, and I was in a Gershwin program that they took around the state as an outreach thing. So this was a school, very important, this was a school that did things like that, which is what attracted me to that school. And I was, again, surrounded by people who said, you should do all these things and see where you go, you know? And I think into my second year, I'd done some auditioning for opera companies, and it just didn't feel like what I wanted to do. And I really wanted to be a musical theater. And I had a wonderful piano teacher and coach, Eileen Cornett, who kind of was in both worlds. She played for the shows that came through Baltimore, and she was an opera coach. And she really guided me and allowed me to sort of explore my skill sets and help me be a better pianist and accompanist and vocal coach. And it was through her that I got the opportunity to meet a big music supervisor from New York. He came down to Peabody to cast Lady Tiang in the national tour of The King and I. And this was one of those opportunities that I always say, you be ready for that opportunity because it will come. So do all the hard work.
Not when you plan it.
Exactly. And I had been sort of getting my feet wet in the community in Baltimore and doing a couple of productions as a music director and realizing I really wanted to do this. And she said, you should sing for him and play for him so he knows what you do. And I did. And he asked me to be an intern in New York for 2 weeks for the rehearsals. Sandy Duncan was...
wow.
So it was one of those like magic moments that I got the opportunity, and in that learned, I was delivering coffee and lunch and taking music notes and playing every now and then, but like I got such a amazing experience. And then fast forward, I went back to Peabody, finished my second year. I produced my own concert of Adam Guettle's Myths and Hymns, which was a piece I'd always wanted to do. And I was like, I've got to do something in this world, and I invited him to it. He came and he heard me really play, a full kind of concert show. And a month later, an opening came up for the national tour of Cats. And because he had heard me and really understood what I could do, he recommended me. And one thing led to another, and I got the job. And that was my first big break. And the rest is history, I guess. Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah. But it really was the working hard and taking the opportunities and creating opportunities, and really, really, I really cannot say enough about this program that set me up with such a music foundation to succeed at Peabody. And that program really it all fed into that and allowed me to succeed after. Yeah.
Fabulous. And the thing I just want to drill home, this idea, it was years of taking the risks.
Yes.
Doing the things, not knowing, tell me if you don't agree with anything I'm saying, not knowing what it was going to specifically lead to.
Absolutely.
But it all calibrated together when that opportunity presented itself and thus unfolded. And then because of your just magnificence and reliability and kindness, it has resulted in thus far a 15-year career that will continue for decades to come.
Oh, thank you.
It's fabulous.
Reliability is the word you say is another word I always say to students and everything.
Yeah.
That little things, being on time and always prepared, and all those things set you up for success, and people notice that.
It's fabulous, fabulous. Well, I want to give a plug. So if you're in the Oxford area, tonight at 7:30 in this space will be a wonderful orchestra concert featuring our symphony orchestra. We will have 3 maestros on the podium, Selim Garay, Tim Oliver, and our very own William Waldrop. The concert will include our opera students as well as students from Oxford High School under the direction of Dr. Ardrey. It's going to be magnificent. It's free, open, welcome for all. Please come. A few other thank yous. I want to thank our LMR supporters and partners, our loyal viewers, the College of Liberal Arts, our Secret Salon Society, who help fund things so we can bring folks like William to campus and take our students on trips where they're really getting to understand what careers are in today's world. I want to thank the dream team who works on LMR. They're amazing humans who put in extra effort and make things happen. Hopefully, to the things we've been talking about, it's giving them opportunities to try and experiment so they're ready. So shout outs to Benton, John, Faith, Maya, and Abby, who is here auxiliary today. Let's give them a round of applause. And just the most sincere thank you to you, William. You know, we both started in this department. You connected the dots at the same time.
The same year.
The same year. And it really is just so special having you back. It's wonderful seeing all the things that you're doing, and you're a great person. So thank you for being here with us. Yeah. And I do hope this is just the first of many things that will be coming down the pike in terms of collaborations.
I love that. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's give William a thunderous round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
And as we always say, the music research revolution continues. Until next time. Yay!
Yay, it's great.